You are 16 years old when you walk into the gym for the first time. It's in a strip mall behind a tire shop. The sign on the door is faded, the letters peeling. You push the door open, and the smell hits you before anything else. Sweat soaked into mats that have never fully dried. Old leather. Something chemical underneath. The cleaner they spray between classes that doesn't really clean. The air is thick. The lights are fluorescent. The walls are covered in cheap fight posters from local promotions you've never heard of. A heavy bag swings on a chain in the corner, rocking slightly from someone who was hitting it before you arrived. You don't know what to do with your hands. You don't know where to stand. A guy at the front desk asks if you're here for the trial class. You say yes, even though you don't know what a trial class is. He hands you a waiver. You sign it without reading it. You'll sign hundreds of waivers in your life. None of them will protect you. The class starts at 6. You stand on the mat in the back row in shorts that are too long and a shirt your mother bought you. Everyone else has fight shorts. Everyone else has rash guards. You feel like a tourist. The coach walks in. He's 45, his nose is flat, his ears look like cauliflower, and he hasn't smiled since 2003. He doesn't introduce himself. He says, shrimp drills, 10 minutes. You don't know what a shrimp drill is. You watch the guy next to you and you copy what he does. You do it wrong. The coach sees you and walks over. He doesn't yell. He shows you. Hip out, foot in, push. You try again. He nods once and walks away. That nod is the most you will get from him for the next 2 years. The class ends. You can't lift your arms. Your back is on fire. Your knees are bruised from the mat. You walk to your car and you sit in the driver's seat for 10 minutes before you can drive. You go home. You eat. You shower. You lie in bed and you stare at the ceiling. You ache in places you didn't know existed, and you know before you fall asleep that you're going back tomorrow. You don't know why. You just know. That's the moment that decides everything. Most people never have it. You did. Level 2, the white belt. The first 6 months almost break you. You get tapped out by everyone. The 40-year-old accountant who comes twice a week, the teenager half your size, the guy with one arm who beats you with grips alone. Your ego dies 1,000 small deaths on those mats. You learn to leave it at the door, because if you don't, the gym will take it from you anyway. You start showing up 4 days a week, then 5, then 6. The schedule eats your life. You skip parties, you skip dates, you stop seeing friends who don't train. The friends who do train become closer to you than your family. You bleed on each other, you bruise each other. You spend so many hours wrapped around another man's neck or hips or arms that platonic intimacy means something different to you than it does to civilians. You buy your first real pair of fight shorts. You buy your first mouthpiece. You buy hand wraps and gloves and a rash guard with the gym's logo on it. Each piece feels like a small commitment, a sealing off. You are a person who trains now. You build a body you didn't have, not in the gym sense. Fighters don't look like bodybuilders. They look like cables wrapped around bone. Your shoulders narrow, your forearms get thick, your neck gets thicker, your knuckles flatten and never quite go back to normal. You have permanent mat burn on your face that the coach calls a beard. You sleep 10 hours when you can. You eat constantly. You eat for the next training session. You learn that the body is a machine that requires fuel, and you become very specific about what fuel you put in. You learn the language, half guard, butterfly, kimura, omoplata, triangle, armbar, rear naked choke. You learn the differences between Brazilian jiu-jitsu and judo and wrestling, and how each discipline thinks. You learn the striking arts separately in different rooms, with different coaches who don't always agree with each other. Boxing teaches you to keep your hands up. Muay Thai teaches you to throw kicks that come from your hip. Wrestling teaches you to drive through hips. Each one wants to be the foundation. Each one is partially right. You start to get your blue belt. You start to compete in local tournaments. You lose. You lose more. You win one. You lose 4 more. The coach watches your matches without expression. After your 7th tournament, he tells you you're ready. You're not sure. Ready for what? Level 3, the amateur. Your first amateur fight is in the back room of a community center in a town you've never been to. 200 people show up. The cage is regulation, but the floor underneath it is concrete with a thin mat. The lights are dim. The DJ plays cheap entrance music. The crowd is half drunk. Your opponent is a kid you've never met from a gym 3 hours away. He looks scared. You hope you look less scared than him. You don't. You walk to the cage, and you climb the steps, and you hear your coach in your corner saying things you can't process. The cage door closes behind you with a metal clang that you will hear in your dreams for years. The bell rings. The first 30 seconds are a blur. You don't remember throwing the first punch. You don't remember getting hit. You remember feeling your legs lock up, that strange tunnel vision where everything narrows to a point. Then, the rhythm finds you. The thousands of hours of training take over, and your body does what it was trained to do. You take him down in the second round. You move to mount. You drop elbows. The referee waves it off. You win. You stand in the cage with your arm raised and you cry. Your coach gets in the cage and hugs you. You walk back to the locker room and you throw up. You make $0. You eat at a Denny's at midnight with your team, and you are the happiest you have ever been in your life. You will chase that feeling for the rest of your career. You will never quite catch it again. You build a record. 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. You lose your fifth fight, a split decision in a town in Iowa to a guy who out-wrestled you. You drive home for 9 hours in silence. You don't talk to anyone for 3 days. The loss restructures something inside you. You realize that getting good at this is going to take longer than you thought, and the punishment along the way is going to be worse than you expected. You go back to the gym. You watch the tape 20 times. You see the mistakes. You drill the corrections until they become muscle. You come back and you win 4 in a row. You start fighting on regional cards, promotions you've heard of, but barely. Maybe LFA, maybe Bellator Developmental, maybe Cage Fury or Titan. The purses are small. $500 to show, $500 to win. You don't have a sponsor. You don't have a manager who cares. You are managed by your coach, who runs the gym, who is also your trainer. He does what he can. You take a job working construction in the mornings to pay rent. You wake up at 5. You work until 2. You train from 3 until 8. You eat. You sleep. You do it again. Your body is constantly hurt. There is always something. A jammed thumb. A torn meniscus that you ignore because surgery means 6 months off the mats. Your back goes out twice a year. You eat ibuprofen like candy. You learn to fight through small injuries and protect them in training so you can compete. Your girlfriend leaves you in year 2 of the regional circuit. She tells you she can't be with someone whose schedule is built around getting punched in the head. She isn't cruel about it. She's right. You don't argue. You just nod. She moves out. You come home from training to an empty apartment and a half-empty closet, and you sit on the kitchen floor and you stare at the wall for a long time. Then you get up the next morning and you go train. The fights start to mean more. The wins matter more. The losses cut deeper. You start to be known in your weight class. People at the regional shows know your name. Other fighters at other gyms watch your tape. You feel something like the beginning of a reputation. You are 24 years old. Your record is 14-3. Level 5, the Contender. You sign with a real management company. They are small, but they are real. They have an office. They have other fighters. They get you better fights on better cards with better promotions. You start fighting for one of the larger regional shows. The purse is now $5,000 to show, $5,000 to win. After taxes, after manager's cut, after coach's cut, after gym fees, you take home about half. It's the most money you have ever made fighting, and it doesn't cover what you spend on training camp. You go into debt, you stay in debt. The Contender Series invitation comes in late summer, the UFC's developmental show. Win your fight, look impressive, and the boss might offer you a contract on the spot. You spend 12 weeks in the hardest training camp of your life. You weigh in lighter than you ever have. The night of the fight, you walk to the cage in Las Vegas, in a building you have only ever seen on television, and the cameras are on you, and the announcer says your name, and the lights hit you, and you feel something that is part terror and part exhilaration and part the feeling of every promise you ever made yourself coming true at once. The fight is 3 rounds of war. You both leave everything in the cage. The decision is split. You lose. You sit on the mat with your hands on your knees, and you cannot believe what just happened. The boss does not call your name afterward. You go back to your hotel room and you sit in the bathtub with the lights off and you don't move for an hour. The flight home is the loneliest thing you have ever experienced. You don't talk to your coach. You don't call your family. You just stare out the window at the desert below. Level 6, the UFC fighter. It takes another year, another 4 wins, another grind, but you get the call. You sign your first UFC contract on a kitchen counter in your apartment with a manager on FaceTime explaining each clause. The numbers are written down. 12,000 to show, 12,000 to win. 4-fight contract. You sign it. You celebrate that night. You don't fully celebrate again for a long time. The first time you walk into the UFC Performance Institute in Las Vegas, you understand what level you are at now. The facility is enormous. There are fighters there whose names you have memorized for years. They walk past you in the hallway. They nod. Some of them know your name now. The locker room before your debut is the loudest quiet you have ever experienced. You can hear the crowd through the walls. You can hear other fighters' walkouts. You sit on a folding chair in your fight shorts with your hands wrapped, and you stare at the floor, and you try to breathe. Your coach kneels in front of you and tells you you've done this 1,000 times. He's lying. You've done some version of this many times, but not this. This is different. The walkout, the cage, the lights so bright they erase everything beyond them. The octagon, the largest stage in the sport. You fight, you win. You go to the post-fight press conference at 1 in the morning and answer questions while you sweat through your suit. You make $24,000 before taxes. After everyone takes their cut, you take home maybe $9,000. You buy your mother flowers and pay your back rent. Then you start training camp for the next fight. Level 7, the ranked fighter. You go 4-1 in your first 5 UFC fights. You climb, you crack the rankings. Number 15, then number 12, then number 9. Your name is on the broadcast graphic. The commentators say you are a problem for the division. You start getting fan mail. People stop you at airports. Strangers ask for selfies, and you smile and pose and try to hide the fact that your shoulder still aches from the fight 3 weeks ago. You sign with a real management company, an agency, the kind that handles real athletes. They get you sponsorships, a protein company, a supplement brand, a regional car dealership. The money starts to mean something. You buy your mother a house, not a mansion, a house. You pay it off in cash. You watch her cry in the driveway, and you feel something settle inside you that has been loose your whole life. Your body is destroyed. You have torn ligaments, scar tissue from old breaks that healed crooked, a meniscus that pops every time you squat, a rotator cuff that grinds. You see a sports medicine doctor in Las Vegas who tells you very gently that you have the joints of a 45-year-old man. You are 28. You start to think about a contenders fight, the top 5, a title shot somewhere on the horizon. You watch the champions' fights and you study them, and you see the holes you would attack. Your camp gets harder. Your sparring gets bloodier. You break an orbital bone in training and fight anyway 4 weeks later with a face you cannot recognize in the mirror. You earn the shot. You beat a top 5 guy on an undercard fight that the analyst said you would lose. You out-grappled him for 15 minutes. The win is announced, and the boss puts you in line for the title. The press tour begins. You travel to 4 cities in 8 days for stare-downs and interviews. The champion is a man you have studied for years. You have a friendly respect for him. You spar with him in the same gym sometimes. Now you have to convince a camera that you hate him. You do interviews where you say things you don't fully mean because the build sells the fight. You sit across from him at a press conference table, and the moderators try to bait you both into trash talk. Neither of you takes it. You just look at him. He looks back. The whole room knows what's going to happen in 12 weeks. Camp is brutal. You bring in specialists from across the country. You hire a wrestling coach who flies in from Iowa. You hire a striking coach who used to corner glory champions. You spend $90,000 on camp. The promotion is paying you well, but the costs eat half of it before the bell ever rings. The night of the fight is the most attention you have ever received in your life. The arena is sold out. The pay-per-view numbers are projected to be enormous. Your face is on a billboard in Las Vegas. Your face is on the side of buses. Your name is in headlines. You walk to the cage. The lights are bright. The roar is deafening. The cage door closes. You fight him. You fight him for 5 rounds. You win some. You lose some. He outstrikes you in the 3rd. You take him down in the 4th. The 5th round is the most exhausted you have ever been. You go to the scorecards. The decision is red. You lose by split decision. The arena erupts. You are not sure what they are erupting at. Maybe the fight, maybe the result. You raise your hand to the crowd and you nod. You walk back to the locker room and you sit on a bench and you cry quietly with a towel over your head. Your coach sits next to you. He doesn't say anything. There is nothing to say. Level 9, the veteran. You are 32 now. You never get another title shot. The new wave of contenders is climbing past you. Younger, faster, hungrier. You are still ranked. You are still elite. But you are not the future of the division anymore. You are the gatekeeper. The fighter young prospects have to beat to prove they're real. You feel the shift before anyone says it. You take a fight against a 23-year-old with 8 pro fights and a perfect record. He is exactly the man you used to be. Hungry, sharp, undamaged. You give him 3 rounds of hell. You break his nose. You drop him in the 2nd. But by the 3rd, your body is tired in ways his isn't, and he wears you down. He wins a decision. You shake his hand. You watch him do his post-fight interview from a few feet away. He thanks you for the lesson. You smile at him. You mean it. The promotion's matrix shifts. You get fewer marquee fights. You get more co-main events on smaller cards. The pay is still good. The body keeps giving. You start to think about retirement. Then you push the thought away. Then you think about it again. You have a hard conversation with your coach. He doesn't tell you to quit. He doesn't tell you to keep going. He tells you the body knows what the mind doesn't want to admit. You don't know what that means yet. You will. You have a daughter now. She is 2. You watch her sleep and you think about the brain damage you have absorbed and the brain damage you will absorb if you keep fighting. You think about the fighters you have known who can no longer remember the names of their own children. You don't say that out loud, but it lives behind your eyes now. Every walkout, every camp, every sparring round. The fights start to feel different, heavier, like you are paying for them in advance. Level 10, the ghost. You retire at 36. You announce it on a podcast in a hoodie with your hair uncut and your beard going gray at the edges. The fans react with respect. The other fighters send messages. The promotion releases a statement praising your career. For a few weeks, the world remembers you. Then it stops. The phone calls slow down. The text messages slow down. The sponsors do not renew. Your manager stops returning calls within a day. New fighters are signing. New stars are rising. The sport has a hunger, and you are no longer feeding it. You move home. You buy a small gym in your hometown. You name it after something that means something to you. You teach kids who remind you of yourself at 16. Some of them are good. Most of them quit. A few of them have the look. You can see it instantly. The hunger, the willingness. You don't tell them what it will cost. They will not believe you anyway. They will have to find out themselves. Your body never recovers. The doctors warned you. You believed them. You did the surgeries. You did the rehab. But the damage is structural now. You have arthritis in joints that should not have arthritis for another 20 years. Your knees lock when you sit too long. Your shoulder won't go above your head some mornings. Your hands ache when it rains. You take more medication than your father takes, and he is 71. The headaches come on bad days. You don't talk about them. Your wife notices. She doesn't push. There is a sadness in the way you sometimes lose words mid-sentence. You catch yourself and laugh and finish the thought, but you both know what it is. You both know what it means. You watch the UFC sometimes. New names, new champions, fighters who were children when you debuted. They walk to the cage, and the lights hit them, and the announcer says their names, and you remember exactly what that felt like. The sound the crowd makes, the way the cage door closes, the smell of the cage canvas. It lives in you forever. You will never escape it. You will never want to. You think about that first night in the strip mall gym, the smell of old sweat and chemicals, the flat-nosed coach who didn't smile, the shrimp drills, the drive home when you couldn't lift your arms. You think about the kid you were. He had no idea what he was walking into. He had no idea what it would cost him. He had no idea what it would give him. You wouldn't trade it, most days. You sit in your office at the gym at the end of a Tuesday night class. The kids have gone home. The mats are wiped. The lights are off in the main room. You sit in the dim glow of a single desk lamp and you stare at your hands. The knuckles are flat. The fingers don't quite straighten anymore. There is a scar on your left thumb from a tournament you don't remember the name of. There is a scar on your right wrist from a Kimura that almost broke it in 2013. Each scar is a story you can't tell to anyone who wasn't there. Somewhere right now, a 16-year-old kid is pushing open the door of a gym for the first time. He doesn't know what to do with his hands. He doesn't know where to stand. He signs a waiver without reading it. The flat-nosed coach watches him from across the mat. The coach sees something, hunger, maybe stupidity, maybe both. The kid will figure out which one it was. They always do. The cycle continues.